Hello, everybody. Lovely to see with you, to be with you. And we are going to be talking about the best and worst diets. This is health and weight loss diets 2021 and 2022. Because this is the time of year where the experts all get together and you'll see all these different reports from US Today and different outlets saying let's really get together and let's take a look at the best and worst health and weight loss diets of 2021. And I also want to take a quick look at fads that are coming up in the industry for 2022. And all this to really help you sort of not to be hoodwinked into something that honestly just isn't going to work. So it's just, I'm actually doing a little bit of myth busting today. It is that time of year. And, in this community, there's a lot of women who ask me a lot of questions. So I have questions every single day, emails, direct messages, private messages, asking me about all kinds of different approaches, all kinds of different diets. And certainly in my community, many of us are women who are a little bit older. So I myself am 57. So, 45 and up generally is my community. And, 45 and up does require a different approach. As a weight management specialist, as somebody who's been in this space for 20, almost 30 years now, and actually having seen the changes in myself as I went through perimenopause, menopause, and now, well, I'm kind of technically still in menopause, things really change and things are different. So, hi, Sophia on. Hi, Janet on. Hi, nice to see you. So that's just what I want to go over a little bit today, quite quickly. So, and you're welcome to ask me questions. So, as I said, after a certain age, or certainly I think for most women that I speak to over the age of 45, it's when your hormones start changing and you might start noticing some hormonal changes. And there's even a lot of myths with that, because a lot of women go, oh my gosh, my metabolism slows down, this happens, that happens. And so I'll do a whole myth busting even on that. But for the purposes of this live stream, and what I really want to lay down and talk about today is let's look at really what to avoid and what to look for going forward, and with a little bit of hi Gloria, a little bit of myth busting in there too. So US News reported that there's this big report that comes out, and these are the diets that they reported, and this is for health and weight loss. These were the diets or approaches that got their kind of thumbs up. And this is lots of different experts coming together and saying, okay, so what's the best? So number 1, the Mediterranean diet. Number 2, DASH. Number 3, flexitarian. Number 4, Weight Watchers. And number 5, the Mind diet. Okay, so those were considered to be the absolute best for health and weight loss. And I'll sort of tease that apart in a minute. The absolute worst, waiting for what they said, their words, not mine, were Keto, GAPS, and Dukan. So I'm noticing a trend right there. So again, having been in this space for certainly the last decade, as a board certified nutritionist, as a weight management specialist, and as a mindset coach, and all those things really do sort of come together, and I'll explain why in a moment. But what I've noticed is really interesting to see the trends and how they've changed, but also to sort of read the small print underneath this, because although it's like, oh my gosh, here are the best of, and here's the worst of, really, honestly, most of this is a reiteration of the same old. And so I'm just going to go through these a little bit, but I really want to take them apart, each one in terms of efficacy for two things, which I think most of us can agree, certainly women over the age of 50, like myself, the two things that all of us want, right, are number one, disease prevention, because if we don't have that, if we have disease, then what's the point? Then we're dealing with a whole different thing. We're not even thinking about a weight loss diet, right? We just want to stay healthy and alive. So for me, the way that I always, my approach is number one, 100% is disease prevention. What can we do across the board to put ourselves in a space of absolutely optimal health or optimum health? And that's a choice. And I want to be really clear about that, because I talk to a lot of women and I work with a lot of amazing women. And the women that I work with personally are women who have decided that they want optimum health that they can possibly have for their age and their life circumstances. They want to stack the cards in their favor. So that's what they want. And that's my absolute primary intention for every single woman that I work with. And also, we're going to look at efficacy for weight loss. But when I say weight loss, and I want to be really, really clear about this, and this is the first thing I want to say at the top of this live stream, is that be clear about what you want, even with weight loss. Because if you just want weight loss or weight release, and you just want to lose some pounds and you want to lose them quickly so that you can get into a bikini or look, good for the reunion, or just it's a short-term thing, then there are approaches that you can do that will give you that sort of quick fix thing. So again, decide, is that what you want? Or do you want to reach your ideal weight, whatever that happens to be for your age, your healthy ideal weight, your optimum weight that you could possibly be for your height and for your age? Do you want to reach that, be in the body that, wow, this is my ideal weight. I feel strong, I feel lean, I'm in optimal health, and I want to stay here forever now. So first, make that distinction and make that decision as you start thinking about the way that you're going to eat, or diets or approaches in 2022. Get really clear on what it is that you want, right? Because there are, and there isn't any wrong or right. Some women are just like, I just want to quickly lose a bit of weight. I'm going on vacation. I'm going to Hawaii in, whatever, a month's time. And I just want to, or 2 months' time, and I just want to get in that bikini, and then after that, whatever, I'll just get back to. But, generally speaking, most women that I speak to, I'd say 98% of women that I speak to before they start working with me have been perennial yo-yo dieters. Hi, Helene, how are you? Meaning that they've just been on and off diets for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, sometimes even 40 years. And that can be very wearing on your body. And more than that, it can be extremely wearing on you psychologically as well. So if you're in that place where you're like, oh my gosh, Sophie, I've tried everything. And yes, I am hands up one of those women who every single new year, I try another diet, the diet du jour, whatever that is. And I try it and it lasts for a few weeks, or, even tops a couple of months. But I can never stick to it and always end up going back to my old ways. Hi, Perry. If that is you, then you might need a different approach. And, certainly the women that I work with in my program, we do a very different approach. And it's not a diet. It is a complete lifestyle change. And that's something that you might need. I found with most women, it does require a complete, if you like, psychic change, but a psychological change. It is a change in mind, body, and spirit. And it is a deep and beautiful and profound change, which not only changes your body your health, but it also changes your life. So if that's you, and you have really been struggling, and if that's what you want, if that's what seems like you've come to that, it's time in your life, and you're like, Sophie, I think that is me, and I'm really ready for that or want that, you can just leave me a comment in the chat and just say, link, please. And I'll send you a link, and you can book a complimentary breakthrough session with me, and we can discuss, and I can even see whether or not I think you would be a good candidate, that I could even help you or not, because it's not for everybody. So let's get back to these diets. So as was reported by US News, these 5 best diets: the Mediterranean diet, the DASH, flexitarian, and Mind, and also Weight Watchers, which isn't necessarily in that kind of diet category. Absolutely, Sophia. Yes, it is. Hi, Leah. It is maintaining. Absolutely, it is maintaining it, and that is where the mindset comes in, Sophia, and that's why I do what I do as a transformational mindset coach, because my belief and my experience from working with women for the last 20 years is that if you don't know how to change your mindset, if you don't know how to change your psychology, and most people need a lot of help with that, then it is just a matter of time, because otherwise all you're doing is changing the outside by way of a diet. So it's just like, I'm going to try this one or this one or this one or this one, but it doesn't matter which one. Whatever you try, you're taking you with you, right? You're taking you and your psychology and your mindset to, it doesn't matter what diet it is, it doesn't matter what thing it is that you're doing, it's still you, with your old patterns of thinking, your old beliefs, your limited beliefs, and your thought patterns and behavior patterns. And if that's what you're bringing to the table, and thank you for saying that, Sophia, because it's such a good comment, you will not be able to maintain. You just won't. And that is the crazy thing about the diet industry. It's a multi-billion dollar industry, and they almost bank on the fact, they know that you're not going to stick to said plan or said diet for very long. That's why, every January there'll be a bunch more, spring there'll be a bunch more, and that sort of choice times throughout the year. So good question, but it does take a deeper change, in my opinion. And if you're really done with that cycle, and it's a hard thing to be done with that cycle, because I think a lot of women are like, oh, but wait a minute, I'll just try this next one or that next one, or you hear people talking about it, or you're in a Facebook group and somebody's talking, last year it was keto, the year before it was keto, the year before that it was keto, or low carb, or high protein, low carb, or something. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about the kind of new trend on that for 2022. But you hear people talking about that, and keto pills, for goodness sake. I mean, don't get me going on that one. But you hear people talking about all that, and then some women get a bit of success with it, and then everybody gets all excited, and it's like you see, Mary down the street, or, your cousin Janice, or whatever it is, and she's lost 30 pounds or 40 pounds and done it really quickly. But then you're not seeing the long term. You're not pulling away and really seeing the big picture that certainly, she's going to end up. I remember actually somebody coming to my front door, this was a couple of years ago, it was a man actually, and he had done one of these newfangled kind of keto-esque kind of diets, and he was so happy because he'd lost 40 pounds and he looked great. There was no denying it. And he was like, yay, And then I saw him about 8-9 months later. He didn't see me, but I saw him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's literally put it all back on again. And it was so sad because he was so excited and his wife was so proud of him and everything. And it was like he had put it all back on again. And goodness knows what he's trying again this January. Who knows? I'll have to find out. All right. So these best diets, right? They're all much of a muchness. They're all kind of the same. They're variations on the same theme. But what is happening is the trend is going towards healthier, which is a really good thing, because I think certainly a couple of years ago, what would have probably been in those top best diets would have been a little bit more high protein, a little bit more kind of in the keto direction. And so what I'm happy to see is that Mediterranean dash flexitarian, not Weight Watchers, I'm going to take that one out of it, and Mind diet are all definitely healthier. So in terms of healthier, that's going in the right direction. However, are they optimal health? No, absolutely, categorically not. Are any of those ones, I'm going to read them out again. You can read for yourself the experts that have deemed these and why, right? But Mediterranean dash, which is basically, the dietary approach for hypertension, it's to bring, blood pressure down, which is bizarre, some of the foods on that diet. But anyway, so Mediterranean dash, flexitarian, and the Mind diet. So here's the deal with all of these. All of them are pretty much the same, give or take a few foods. And it's attractive and alluring because they're all relatively, oh, Buford, I only work with women. I'm so sorry. I love you being here, and I've seen you here before, and I'm sorry, but I just work with women at this point. So these diets are alluring because they're easy, right? The Mediterranean diet is so easy. I speak to so many women whose doctors have said to them, you need to lose weight, reduce your risk for heart disease, cholesterol's high or whatever. Try the Mediterranean diet. So, right, the Mediterranean diet seems sexy and it's easy and it's olive oil and fish and chicken and olives, and it has that kind of, even the sound of it, the Mediterranean diet, women in, and men in Italy and Europe, don't get, gain weight and everything. But really, I want to take this apart and I want to look at the facts here. And I'm going to get straight to this study, actually, because it really, the top one was the Mediterranean diet, but dash, flexitarian, Mind, all of them are pretty much along the same lines, meaning lots more fruits and vegetables. Yeah, that's fantastic. Great. Nobody's going to argue with that, least of all me. But in all of these diets, it's, oils, olive oil is touted as, a health food, and fish and lean poultry and lean chicken and sort of things like that seem really healthy. You would not believe the amount of women that I speak to who have had trouble and are having trouble losing weight, particularly women over the age of 50, right? It's just come to a standstill. It's not working. They tell me they can't understand why, because they're eating really healthy. And I say, cool, what are you eating? And some of them are pretty much eating a kind of Mediterranean style diet, and they just can't understand. They're like, I just don't understand. Well, I know exactly why, because I do the research and I've been doing it for many, many years. And of course, I help women to lose a significant amount of weight. That's what I do, and get their health back and get their love of life back and get their body back and get their mojo back. And it's not just weight loss, but that's what I do. And so, I can safely say I know what works. The proof is there. But let's look at the science, because one thing is me saying this, one thing is me going, well, this is my opinion, this is my belief, this is the experience of the women that I work with which it absolutely is, losing, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds or whatever it is, and staying there, permanently. It's just their new lifestyle. It's how they are, and they're loving it. But let's look at a study. So all of these best diets, right? All of them are Mediterranean style, as I've just said. So there was a groundbreaking new study that was done last year, and it was a randomized crossover trial. Fascinating, with 16 participants. And the findings were published in the Journal of American College of Nutrition. So Okay, really cool study, really strong study. So the study was putting these 16 participants through either a low-fat vegan diet or a Mediterranean diet. A typical Mediterranean diet, which, as I said, is fruits, veggies, grains, olive oil, lean meats, fishes, all of that business. Most of you know what a Mediterranean diet is. And if anyone's interested, by the way, in this study, and you actually want to see it, just say study link, please, and I'll pop it in afterwards, and I'll try and put it in the notes also, certainly on YouTube if anybody's watching on YouTube, because I like you to be able to read the study if you would like to, but without getting into the weeds on the study, it was absolutely conclusive. That the low-fat vegan diet, and the low-fat vegan diet wasn't even as healthy as what my clients do, just saying. But nonetheless, it was for weight, for body composition, for insulin sensitivity and cholesterol levels. The low-fat vegan diet beat out the Mediterranean diet by significantly. And I mean significantly. So there it is. Now, the other thing that I just wanted to talk about here is that all of these diets, these best diets that have been mentioned, that have been, that the US News has said these are the best diets, all of them contain lean poultry, lean chicken or lean poultry. And it's been very curious for me for years, having spoken to women who want to release unwanted pounds. Again, so many women come to the plate when they talk to me and they go, well, Sophie, I only eat lean poultry. I eat fish and lean poultry. Yeah, Linda, no problem. I'll pop that study in. Yep, no problem. Study going in. Hi, Araceli. So another study was done. I'm going to put on my glasses for this one here, which was women, men and women actually, who were given the same amount of. Now, this was what I've been quite fascinated is why so many women that I speak to cannot, or are really, their weight is just, it won't budge. It just is what it is, despite them, eating healthy. And eating healthy tends to include a lot of chicken. A lot of women say to me, oh, I eat chicken. I eat tons of chicken. And now I know why they're having a problem. But it wasn't until I really got into the research, and it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. And there's many, 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 many different studies way beyond the scope of this live stream today. However, there's one study where they took men and women and they gave them the same amount of calories per day, same amount of fruits and veggies, and exercise. Okay, so they were all doing exactly the same amount of exercises, same amount of calories, and same amounts of fruits and veggies, but they ate different amounts of meat. Okay, and the first thing they saw was that the more meat they ate, the participants, the heavier they got. Really interesting. Just 1.5 servings a day, just 1.5 servings a day of meat. With these participants, they crossed over the BMI threshold for being healthy, which is basically 25 or over. If you're 25 or over, body mass index of 25 or over, then you're in the overweight category. And those that ate just 1.5 servings a day crossed over into, were either in that threshold of being overweight or crossed over into that threshold of being overweight. Now, here's the really interesting thing. What kind of meat do you think it was? Which meat was worse that this study found out of all the different animal flesh that you could eat, what do you think was the worst meat? Yeah, Sophia, it does, and lots of other things as well. It was poultry. It was poultry, and not, KFC fried, but just basically basic, chicken breast, poultry. So it's super interesting. And the study found that, and you might want to write this down, is 20 or more grams a day of poultry. Oh, sorry, we stopped for a minute. 20 or more grams of poultry a day, which is the amount of one chicken nugget. That would be the amount of chicken in one chicken nugget, or one, that size, or that size of a chicken breast, has significantly increased the body mass index of all participants in this study. Just 20 or more grams a day. So, all this to say, why I am talking about this is because with all of those studies, all of those diets that are the best diets for health and weight loss, it's like, really? So it's like, really, if that's the best you can do? And truly, the takeaway from this is, okay, that's great. If you can add more fruits and veggies and whole grains and, take out the processed foods, obviously, that's fantastic. And if anybody's watching and you're like, I'm really struggling and I eat a lot of processed foods and refined foods and go through the junk food or takeaways or whatever else it is, if you can move towards one of those ways of eating, the Mediterranean, the flexitarian, the mind diet, the DASH diet, any of those, if you can move in that direction, fantastic. You will be getting healthier. You absolutely will. You can't lose by putting more fruits and veggies and whole grains in your diet. You just can't lose. So if that's as much as you can do, and that's the change that you can make this year, then that is absolutely fantastic. However, if you want more than that, like I was saying at the beginning of this live stream, if you want optimum health, and I'm talking about your body composition, your insulin sensitivity, your cholesterol levels, dialing down inflammation, which affects just about every process in your body, including protecting your brain, including leading to breast cancer and many other cancer preventions. If that is what you want, if that you are committed to that, if that's like, no, Sophie, that is what I want, then you're going to have to go further. You really are going to have to go further than any of these. If you want optimum health and if you want to see significant weight release and you want it to stand the test of time, it is going to have to be a lifestyle change. And none of those that I have really looked in great detail at, all of these, none of those are going to give you the result you want. I'm just being honest with you. I'm just being straight with you. Is it the easier, softer way? Is it like, oh, I can do that. I can do the Mediterranean diet. I can do this one and that one and everything. Yes, of course you can. It's easy, but if you want a different result, and particularly if you've got health issues, if you are pre-diabetic, if you have elevated LDL cholesterol. And when I say elevated, I did a post on this in my group. Anything 100 and over, LDL is the number you want to watch, not total cholesterol, but LDL. That is the bad cholesterol. That is the number you want to have an eagle eye on. And if that number is over 100, then it needs to come down. And the lower the LDL, the better. 80, even better. 70, even better. 60, even better. And the women that I work with see their cholesterol levels dropping significantly without the use of any medications, without the use of statins. Because the problem with those medications is there's always risk with those medications, and there's always side effects, always, with your statins, with all your cholesterol lowering meds, with your diabetes meds, with your blood pressure meds. It is interesting, isn't it, Araceli? Super, super interesting. So if that's what you want, my friends, and I'm just being straight with you here. I'm just here to be honest with you, because as we go into this new year, there's just, you're going to hear about all these different diets and all these different approaches. I'm going to go over just some of the trends in just a second before I go for 2022. But it really all boils back down to, and think about this, it's, New Year's Eve tomorrow. Think about this over the next 24 hours. What do you want? What do you really want? Think long term rather than short term. What do you want for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, God willing that you have, that time? How many summers have you got left? How many Christmases have you got left? How many New Year's Eves have you got left to celebrate? So God willing, you have quite a few, and you can increase how many you have. So look at the long term. Don't fall into the trap of going, oh, I'll just quickly do the next short-term thing. Short-term doesn't work. There are plenty of Band-Aids out there. I call them Band-Aids. It's some kind of quick fix. So here's a diet sheet or a diet book or a meal plan or whatever. Seriously, how long have you stuck to one of those for in the past? Ask yourself that. And if you have had trouble sticking to things in the past, then I can absolutely promise you that you're probably going to need a different approach, and you're probably going to need a little bit of help, mentoring, coaching, and an approach that's really going to help you change your mindset and your psychology. It's just the way that it is. And like anything in life, if there's something that you really want to change, and it's a big deal. I mean, if you think about it, if you've been struggling with your ill health and or your weight for 20 years, that's 20 years that you've been struggling. That's a huge cost to you of struggle and time and headspace thinking about that. So it really is, the reality is, wake up call is, do I want to keep on doing that over and over again? Or do I want something different? And if you want something different, you're going to have to do something different. And the thing that you're going to have to do differently, again, just giving it to you straight, is not another diet. Now, if you're extraordinarily disciplined and extraordinarily structured, and you have had a lot of education and help, and you really know what you're doing, then you probably wouldn't be listening to this. You're like, oh, I got it. But most I found that most women really need some help to make that crossover, to make that big change. Now, let's look at the worst ones. So the worst ones, as reported by US News, thank God, are keto, GAPS, and Dukan. So those are the high protein. Obviously, most of you know what they are. They're the really high protein, low carb diets. And I'm really glad that they're right saying literally these are the worst. So they are the worst for health, without any shadow of a doubt. That it is irrefutable. There's no ifs and buts. If you're eating a really high protein diet, which obviously is a high protein in animal protein diet, it puts you at higher risk for pretty much every cancer, or all the main cancers, the most prevalent ones, particularly in women over the age of 50, puts you at higher risk for stroke, for heart disease, LDL cholesterol going up, blood pressure, the whole 9 yards. That's it. It just does. And also, contrary to I was going to say popular wisdom, these approaches do not help the diabetes either in reversing diabetes. They can kind of mask the problem. It can take sort of some of the sugars out of your blood, but that's really not healing the cause and dealing with the root cause of insulin resistance. They're just not. So those approaches, I mean, my gosh, if you're 20 years old and, I live here in Los Angeles, and there's a big, huge health food store around the corner, and you go in and there's all these really kind of 20 somethings and 30 somethings in their little, yoga gear and everything. And they're all buying grain free this and grain free that. And there's still all that kind of fads going on there. And cool, whatever. But, they're maybe not worrying about their health. Although, Araceli, it was interesting because in that study and in the post that I did yesterday about the cholesterol, as I was doing my research, I did about 3 hours research yesterday morning on this because I just get into a rabbit hole and then I'm just researching away, is that, atherosclerosis and arterial plaque, they see it starting as young as teenagers now. So, when they look into the arteries of teens, late teens and early 20s, that's when the damage starts. So, I wish for some of these younger, kids and our teenagers and our children to really get this message earlier, saturated fat and these high protein, ways of eating, which, any diet that's high in animal protein, animal flesh is going to be higher, considerably higher in saturated fat. So those are the bottom of the list. Now, there's a couple of others in there as well, but let's talk about some of the sort of fads. So there was one thing that came across, which was the lumen, which is this thing you sort of blow into to test your metabolism. I'm like, seriously, why don't you just eat to boost your metabolism? So eating a low-fat, plant-based diet. That was another fascinating study, which I did a YouTube video on, actually, on that one, which is eating a low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet actually increases postprandial burn, which is another way of saying it actually increases your metabolism. So none of those gizmos or devices or beliefs that, oh my gosh, I'm over a certain age and my metabolism has slowed down, because, by the way, it has not slowed down. I work with women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who all lose their unwanted pounds, get into the best shape that they've been in 20, 30, 40 years. Okay, so we're not having that be an excuse of, oh my gosh, my metabolism has slowed down. I don't believe in that one. All right, so some of the fads. One, there's the lemon coffee one, ridiculous. Another one is the lazy keto. That's what it's called, lazy keto. I'm like, okay, what is the lazy keto? So this is what it is. It's a kind of watered down version of keto, because what that they've figured out, the lazy keto diet people, is that keto is a little bit hard. It's almost impossible for anyone to stick to, because people feel nauseated with all that fat. They feel, unwell. It's super duper restrictive. They have to buy all this expensive organic meat all the time and whatnot. They have bad breath, constipation, and also, interestingly, they start losing lean muscle mass. So they're like, that's not really kind of working out so well. And people have kind of got wind of that. So let's do the lazy keto, which is a kind of watered down version. Seriously, go figure. So there's always going to be a watered down version of everything. Yes, it is, Leah. Keto is another version, is another name for, it's all the same iteration. Back in the day, it was the Atkins diet, right, in the 80s. And then it was, I think the next one was the South Beach diet. And then there was the Dukan diet. And then there was the keto and paleo and caveman and grain-free and high protein, low carb and carb cycling. They're all under that umbrella. Now, the one thing that I don't want to sort of throw it completely under the bus, because the one good thing actually about pretty much any diet, let's face it, there's no diet out there that's going to go, hey, this is the diet where you can do the drive-through and eat processed foods and sugar and you're going to be fine, right? That's just not going to happen. But the one thing that any diet diet takes out is the usual culprits, right? Which is the refined sugar, the refined carbs, and the crappy sort of processed junky food. And so I think what can be really misleading about so many of these diets is men or women will try any one of these diets and go, oh my gosh, cutting out alcohol and things like that. And oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much better and I've lost a little bit of weight. Well, yeah, you would, no matter initially, on whatever you're going to try if you're cutting out those foods, right? But A, are you going to stick to it long term? And B, is it really doing what you want it to do? But, to their credit, those diets are, even the ketos and everything is cutting all of that junk out as well. But you can do better, ladies and gents. You can do better. You can do better for your health, for your wellness, for your mind, for your body, and for your spirit. Okay? Now, there's also a lot now about there's an immune boosting diet, seriously, and intuitive eating. Now, here's the thing about the intuitive eating. I'm all for connecting to your intuition, and certainly the women that I work with, we really do a lot of work on mindfulness, a lot of work on being really mindful. But intuitive eating doesn't take into account that most people can't just intuitively eat. If you're addicted to certain foods and addicted to comfort foods, and 90% of the foods out there in even a healthy grocery store are addictive. If you're somebody who comfort eats, if you're somebody who stress eats, then it's going to take more than just intuitive eating to be able to really, really dial this in. It just is. It's an inside out and an outside in approach that I believe is needed. You need to work from the outside in, meaning completely change what you're eating and how you're eating, and also change your psychology and your mindset. And when those two things are dialed in, then you can be successful, and then everything works out and it becomes a lifestyle that you can really stick to forever. And it's the most beautiful lifestyle where you can feel energized, strong, and be in the best shape. As I've said, I'm 57. I'm in better shape now in my body than I was 20 years ago. Much better shape. My husband will attest to that. We've been married for 22 years. So I believe that it's possible, but I know what it takes to get there. And it does take something, because the thing is, I want to finish with this, is no matter what diet you're doing, if you eventually are going to have temptations around you, or temptations in the house, if you suffer from food cravings, if you're somebody who tends to slip off the wagon and not stick to things, if you're somebody who suffers with motivation going out the window, if you are somebody who tends to procrastinate and blow things off and spring back to your old habits, if you're somebody who stress and comfort eats, as I said earlier, the problem is in you, not in the diet. And that is what needs to be addressed. That's where the root cause of the problem is. And the solution is to deal with that head on, which, in my experience, is a tremendous amount of support, accountability, and really doing the mindset work in a pretty profound way. And when you do that, you develop a lifestyle. And for me, it's all about a lifestyle. And you're going to hear so much more about this, I think, over the next few years, that any doctors who are really worth their salt are talking on and on about lifestyle medicine. And that is the way forward. That is the new frontier, is lifestyle medicine, which is inside out, mind, body, and spirit. So all this being said, I just want to wish you all a very, very happy new year, a happy, healthy 2022. I've got lots of guests coming on, lots of really fascinating live streams. that are going to be happening this year. I'm also going to be starting a podcast as well, so that's going to be fun, and so I look forward to seeing you and connecting with you on my YouTube channel and through all these sort of different channels, and yes, Araceli, I know. Yes, Atkins did die of heart disease. Absolutely. All right, ladies. Be kind to yourself, treat yourself well. You know, the best diet of all is the kind diet. It's how you speak to yourself, it's how you treat yourself, it's how you love yourself, and it's really what you eat, you know, as well. Is it kind to you? Is it kind to your body? Is it kind to animals? Everybody is animal lovers in this community, or most of you are. Is it kind to the planet? Is it kind to the environment? And the good news is that you can live and eat in a way that is kind. It's a win-win-win. It checks off all of those boxes. And guess what? You get to feel amazing, and you get to get into the best shape of your life. So there you go. So, and again, if anybody needs help, from me, if you are really struggling to put all these pieces together, and certainly if the mindset piece is a massive struggle for you, and you're struggling with, you know, stress, and you just don't know how to sort of put all this together, just leave a comment saying, Sophie, link please, breakthrough call link please. I'll say that one more time. Breakthrough call link please. And if this is for those of you, I have very, very little time to give to these calls. So that really is just for those of you who are absolutely ready. You're done, you're struggling, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you hear all these diets and you're kind of like that, because you're just like, seriously, I need some help with me. And I need help now. And I'm not going to go on any longer without really getting some serious help. So if that's you, then I'm absolutely available to jump on a complimentary breakthrough session with you. So again, just pop in the comments, just say a breakthrough session link, please. And all you lovely ladies who are actually in, who I work with, I'm not seeing any of you on today, but love you as well, and just so blessed and grateful to have you in my life. All right, lovely community, here's to the healthiest, happiest. Let's make 2022 your healthiest, happiest year yet. And with all of the virus going on and everything that's going on around us, the most important diet is a diet that is chock full, crammed full of what? Fruits and veggies, because there's your immune boosting nutrients and phytonutrients right there. Okay, so if nothing else, if you hear nothing else from this live stream today, tons and tons and tons of fruits and veggies, because there's never been a more important time, never, to boost your immune system and dial down your inflammation. All right, love you all. Bye.